Hello, Raghavi ma'am. Good afternoon, Raghavi ma'am. புத்தாண்டு நல்வாழ்த்துக்கள்.
Good afternoon. நன்றி நன்றி புத்தாண்டு நல்வாழ்த்துக்கள்.
அதான் இப்போ உள்ள பாயசம் பண்ணிட்டு இருந்தேன். ஆன் பண்ணிட்டு இருக்கேன்.
ரைட் ரைட். வர்ச்சுவல் பாயசம் எங்களுக்கும் கொடுங்க.
Oh, definitely. Sending. So I made you the host.
Right. I'll take care. No problem.
Okay.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Kritika. So people are still joining. We'll wait. So it's 12:05 already. Why is this attendance a little lean today?
Good afternoon, ma'am. Seems
Good
like
afternoon.
people
So
are
can we
enjoying the
start?
festivity.
Can we start?
Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
All right, let people join. We will parallelly start.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good afternoon.
Actually, just we over the classes before 10 minutes earlier classes, so might be everyone is joining late.
Sorry.
Just we over the first class before 10 or 15 minutes ago.
No, your voice is feeble.
We
Hello.
just finished the classes 10 minutes back, ma'am.
Oh, okay. All right.
There were a lot of glitches today in the connectivity.
Okay. So should I wait? Madam, should I wait, Usha, madam?
Yes, ma'am. It would be great if we can, start in maybe 5-10 minutes.
Okay, so we will start by 12:15.
Yeah, that will be great.
Okay, done.
Thank you. Raghavi ma'am, what you can do is you can actually pause the recording for some time.
Yes, I will do that.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon, Dr.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Good
afternoon.
afternoon. Good afternoon. So happy to again virtually meet you, not see you, but meet you. Yeah. Apart from me, everybody are video muted. Thank you, Mr. Jugal.
That's what we have been doing till now, ma'am.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Mr. Rahul.
Afternoon, ma'am.
Right, lovely. So let me share the screen. So able to see this?
Yep.
Yeah.
Super. So we started, we had this discussion some time back also regarding this assessment and evaluation, the difference. Yeah, we had been discussing already. Getting into this training evaluation, I think this topic is again significant to touch base with. So this is how it goes as we start with this training evaluation. So we are almost in the fag end of the the complete instructional design syllabus, starting from the models to the need and delivery, all of this implementation, then finally towards this evaluation part. So before we get on to this evaluation as such, let's talk about what is this training assessment is, evaluation is, some basics about this. So for people who are not aware of training evaluation or have not worked much on this area, we'll get some crux of it. So in the area of learning and development, this assessment is always confused with this evaluation. So as a learning designer, so we need to leverage assessment and evaluation. So assessment is used to take a closer look at the progress of learners and to collect some information and evidence about the learning and the teaching process, both of it. So this is going to engage in an ongoing dialogue kind of a thing to get the inputs, to gather the inputs and the feedback from the learners and provide them with some critical feedback that is going to help in order to meet the learning outcomes. So in that sense, the primary purpose of assessment is to improve both the learner's learning as well as the facilitator's teaching. You get the point? Yeah. So assessment is, if I'll have to define it, an ongoing systematic process of gathering some information using established standards to make a determination about a participant's learning or to inform the instruction also. So the purpose of assessment is to improve the quality of the learning process. Whereas evaluation is used to make a judgment or put a value to the training and the achievement of the outcomes based on those established criteria. So once we provide value to the learning, we can then make key decisions, right? About providing the inputs, the feedback to improve the performance, or considering other steps like providing additional inputs, additional resources, so that the learning will become enriched. So evaluation is together a process of putting a value on a learning process using established criteria, so that we define the degree to which a knowledge or a skill has been gained and applied. So the purpose is to judge the quality of the learning. Yeah. So these, this difference, has some similarities also. When I talk about assessment and evaluation, if there's a difference, there's some similarity also. Both of these topics require the use of established standards, criteria, application of specific methods of observation, measurement, and using those data, those information for helping in the decision-making process. So based on the learner, the instructional designer's experience and expertise, we can easily identify the key points between this assessment and evaluation. One, how do you communicate? Yes, Mr. Das.
Yeah, so Dr. Raghavi, I have one question here. So for example, you mentioned that, in fact, we understand there is a difference between assessment and evaluation. So let's say if my training objective, the only first step was to, let's say, let me take let's say I am planning a training where I want to increase the sales of, let's say, 10, 15 team members. So that is my overall learning objective, that I want to increase my sales number. So obviously evaluation is basically if my final objective, which is sales, has increased or not. Okay. So but at the same time, my trainer feedback score is not good. So for example,
Trainer's feedback is not
trainer's
good.
feedback or the training feedback is not good, but eventually my sales number has increased. So is it my training evaluation, my learning objective, because it has met? So can I say that my overall training evaluation was good, but my training assessment was not good?
Can we think the other way? I mean, training assessment was good, but as training evaluation was not good, because evaluation is going to judge the value that they're bringing in, whereas assessment is about the overall quality of the learning program.
Okay. Okay. So training assessment was not good, but value I received, na? Because I'd done that.
Training assessment was good, but training evaluation was not good.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So in order to understand more of this, let us have some key points also. How can we take the crux of this? Let's talk about how do we communicate this. See, I use assessment and evaluation as a bridge between the participant and me, say as a facilitator. Okay, so it is a way for the participant to communicate their learning, their progress to me as a facilitator, and for the facilitator in me, I need to share inputs and feedback on their learning. So this communication has to happen. Okay. I'll give you some key points, then we will come back to the question again. So with this purpose in mind, a facilitator does not need to assign a mark or a grade for such a communication to take place. However, there is a need to be clear, a transparency about the learning outcomes and the assessment criteria that I put in, and a need to be diligent about providing some timely feedback, qualitative feedback on the participants' learning. So this is how I use my assessment process with respect to the outcomes and the criteria. At the same time, when we guide the workplace performance, what we choose to evaluate tells our participants about what we value. So I use evaluation as a tool to guide the learner's workplace performance and align that learning to business outcomes. I think now you can get the idea. So the choice of learning outcomes, assessment criteria, evaluation standard will all inform your participants about what is valued and what is expected in the workplace. So this will get them the understanding, the importance, the value of the task, what is being taught to them, and how performing the task effectively is critical to the success of both the participant and the business. Yes, Mr. Jugal.
So I think just to ask one question in the same regards, Dr. Raghavi, let's say if we have a couple of business KPIs to meet, correct? For example, let's say when I say business KPIs, it means, for example, in customer service industry or in the customer experience department, let's say if you have one of the KPI called as resolution quality, correct? Or maybe a customer satisfaction. These are
Customer satisfaction, yeah.
Correct. So these are the core KPIs which you really would like to achieve. So whatever training you are actually trying to design, the ultimate goal or the task for that particular training program is to achieve these two KPIs.
Correct.
Correct. Now, when you say that you have a task to achieve, which is a non-negotiable one, and the other one, the value. So now here, if I talk about the business KPIs are the goals or the objective to meet from that training program. The way I think Mr. Das was asking that, let's say if he was giving another example of sales kind of a thing. So taking the similar kind of a use case that if my objective is to achieve sales, let's say if I really would like to have a target of 85% sales in this particular region, let's say, and I am going to achieve that. So whatever training program is going to be, I think, formed or designed, they should be achieving it. Now, when it comes to like these terms, assessment and evaluation, I think it is my own experience that because people are using these terms so frequently and wherever and everywhere. For example, let's say if I am actually understanding that if a participant is learning something or not, I am just running or I think designing a small test on one day of the training, I'm also calling it as an assessment. Then if they are in OGT phase or maybe in on-job training, so during the mock drill, if the quality team is actually trying to assess that individual's competency or maybe the way he is supposed to work, they are saying that, okay, and during the call evaluation, it comes out. So this evaluation and assessment terms are so frequently used everywhere. So I think the actual meaning is somewhere, I think, getting digressed or I would say diluted. And that's why people generally gets confused that what does the mean by assessment and what does the mean by evaluation? Because here, the way you are trying to explain, I think we are looking at the bigger picture perspective. It is not just only one individual, not only one day. However, we are talking about assessing a complete training program and then trying to evaluate if we are able to achieve the ultimate objective or the goal of that program.
Right, what you said is absolutely right. See, I see the core purpose of assessment and evaluation to aid in, to help in continuous learning for both the participants as well as the facilitators. So when we share information about a participant's progress with the participant and with the stakeholders of the process, see, it is a way not only to view the progress from a learning perspective, but also to identify the areas that require for the work for both the participants and the process itself. So inputs and feedback from the participant to the facilitator will improve the teaching process. And the same way, facilitator skill in creating the right environment for learning is also mandatory. So I mean, if I'll have to, give you a quick outline, an effective assessment and evaluation approach will have to answer one question: what needs to be improved? If this statement is being asked, then we will be able to identify the difference.
And can we say
Assessment.
that assessment is will come first, and after that the evaluation will come into picture?
I mean, it's like, which came first in the world. Likewise, see, assessment defines what your participants regard as important, how they spend their time, how they come to see themselves as participants, and then as, the performers. Because they take their cues about what is important, from what is being assessed. So if you want to change the, participants' learning, then you have to change the method of the assessment. So again, this is how it goes. So what we can understand is, as you said, in the larger perspective, what is valued, what is getting improvised. So this question, what needs to be improvised, is something that we can understand through this difference, and it has similarities, no doubt about it.
Sure.
Yeah, all right. So now coming back to the evaluation. Yes, Mr. Krupa.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
Yeah, Ms. Krupa.
So,
Yes.
ma'am, so can we say that assessment is for participants and evaluation is for trainer to
No,
identify his
no.
own
Please
area?
don't take that way. No. I am only talking about the learning process here. I am not literally, bifurcating between the learners and the, the facilitator here at all, because your training assessment will give, we'll talk about the quality of the learning. So which is going to, take both the learner and the the facilitator into perspective. No, it cannot be thought that if you think like that, your training evaluation will go wrong.
Okay. So how we should be taking it? Like evaluation is all inclusive to identify the pain areas of the learning process.
What area? Sorry.
Pain areas and the progress as well.
Progress, but maybe that's what about the key point here is the value in terms of as evaluation. Let us bring this value into the picture. What value you're talking about as part of your the purpose of evaluation is to judge the quality of the learning. Is that that what value you're bringing in? That's what is the point here.
Okay, noted. Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, and when it comes to evaluation model, I mean, most of us use this Kirkpatrick model, yeah. So, is there anyone who's using a different training evaluation model in your organization? Can feel free to talk about, because when I talk about training evaluation, there are many models. In fact, I was once taking a paper on training evaluation, not this syllabus. There was a previous, the syllabus actually is a revised one as part of ISTD's curriculum. So earlier, there was a paper, for training evaluation, wherein I had different models, taught to the participants also. So if we pick the models again, like the instructional design models, there are umpteen models that you can bring in as part of the evaluation. But commonly used is Kirkpatrick. Is there anyone who's wanting to raise hand and say, yes, we are using this model, different one and all that? Can feel free before I get into this Kirkpatrick, because I'm going to talk only about Kirkpatrick now. Anyone?
Ma'am, Jack Phillips framework,
Jack
which is
Phillips.
quite similar to Kirkpatrick's.
Yes.
Only five levels are there.
Yes. Jack Phillips model, yes.
Yeah, only the fifth
else?
one, ROI, is added. Rest quite similar.
Yes. So anything else?
No,
There is
our
CIRO model.
organizations are very keen to have ROI based kind of evaluation, but it seems very difficult for us to derive, giving number to a training this thing, and that is why we never touch upon that, and we shy away from
So
implementing
no
that
Philip,
model.
no Jack Philip, we will restrict only till Kirkpatrick. No, even the Kirkpatrick, not till the 4th level is being followed, to my
Yeah.
understanding. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's there. I really do understand. There are organizations who are actually working on this bell curve. The complete model which is being implemented in organizations are also happening. But those are exceptions. But commonly, it's about a process which is actually, just about giving the hike and giving up the designation change and all that only. Yes, Parul.
Ma'am, up till now, in my as per my observation, Kirkpatrick model is used in organizations, many organizations that I'm aware of, in my past organization.
Okay.
But its success is only till level 3 somehow. Neither the business requesters will be able to take out time. Even let's say L&D wants to go ahead to the level of pulling out and evaluating the ROI.
True.
The support that is needed in terms of getting that input, plus the time factor, which plays a very big role.
Important.
Because as
Yes.
soon any initiative we run, if it just goes, it's completed, like in terms of training is completed, thereafter to evaluate the performance, and after post 1 month or 2 months, no one gives us that input in order to evaluate it effectively. Do you see that as a challenge? Is there a way to resolve it?
So, yes, we have Jugal. I was expecting. Yes, Mr. Jugal.
No, I think I was about to add a couple of pointers to the one like which Parul just mentioned. I think many a time it happens like when it comes to training fraternity or especially to the training delivery function. I think we are not able to, I think, implement this third level also in a very, very, or the 100%,
The
I would
impact
say.
also.
Yeah. So generally what happens like whenever you have a training program, and I'm not sure like because of a lengthy process, the organization is actually not keen to look into it. And in fact, they just ask that, okay, fine. So somewhere I think your 15 days a model or maybe a 20 days training model is not working. Why can't we have a 10 days model or maybe a 5 days model?
Correct.
And then they start asking that, okay, we are supposed to have very, very minimal training interventions and the impact should be really, really great. So the way, like I think we were discussing on Jack Phillip ROI, they want that, okay, within 5 days or 7 days of a time, an individual can be trained upon everything. And then he should start working the way the production employees or maybe the senior or the veteran ones are working in the industry. And they should deliver the KPI in the same manner. They are not considering any learning curve and they are not looking at from the impact or from the results person, how they can again go back to the learning or the reaction part.
Absolutely.
That is something like which I have been observing in different industries.
Correct. Yes, Mr. Nikhil.
Madam, excuse my ignorance, but may I know what is ROI? Because ROI relate only to the
Return
banking
on
term.
Return on investments.
Return on
Acha,
investment.
okay. Thank you.
Mr. Nikhil?
Yeah, so Dr. Raghavi, I do have a couple of inputs for the what Parul mentioned as a challenge, and I do align that having a level 3 or level 4 is a very complicated case, right? So what we have initiated in our organization is like whenever we do a TNI or a TNA, the very first thing that we ask to the business is how are we going to do the impact analysis of the training? Like that's the very first thing during the TNI and the TNA. So the business itself tells us, okay, like you can see a sales record, you can see the NPS score or the CSAT score, or probably the attrition or the retention ratio or percentage. So that's how the results are defined directly when we are doing the TNI and the TNA. So that makes a task very much easier and very much simpler, that now we don't have to focus on the level 4 of it. Because if let's say like I've been working on a project which focuses on the retention of the one of the processes. So I interacted with the stakeholders and asked them to like share the data, like what is the retention ratio, how many people are leaving, what is the cost of having new employees on board. So that's the data that I've already have ready with me. What I need to do once my intervention is done, I just need to have the data 1 month after that. And that gives me a comparative analysis, and that's how I get the result and reach the level 4. So approach that we have started is directly when we are doing a TNI or a TNA, at that time itself, we ask the business, you only tell us how we can do the impact analysis of it. And that makes the task very much easier.
So I mean, the way you do is after 1 month, you analyze the transformation and arrive at the results, is it?
It completely depends on the intervention. For example, let's say if I am having a training which goes for almost a week, then if that goes for a week, I'll look around 2 to 3 months. But if I have a learning intervention which I can end up in just 2 days, that is 16 hours of training, probably I'll look for data after 1 or 1.5 months. So again, that is completely aligned with the duration of the training.
Okay, now let me quickly ask this, just to trigger the discussion only. Is
Sure.
there any other levels of evaluation? I mean, the levels, I mean, like, I'm not talking about the 1, 2, 3, 4 level that you see in the picture. I'm talking about the levels of evaluation, like, what Nikhil said is like, after 1 month, evaluation report is picked up. So likewise, do you go till 2, 3, levels? Is there anyone
Yeah,
who
in
could
our
share?
case, we have 0 to 30, 30 to 60, and up till 90 days of bucket. And then we post 90 days, see, again, things are like what, in fact, Nikhil was also saying in technical. I mean, for example, if you're doing certain functional training or technical training or product process training, then linking it to some business impact and then analyzing for 30, 60, 90 bucket, that is all doable. Challenge comes when it is something like leadership training, behavioral training, then how you will identify the ROI part of it. And then it is also very subjective at 30 days mein wo dilute ho gaya, 60. So then it is something like that. So that is why the refreshers comes into picture, that refresher training you need to do and all of that. But in our organization, at least till 90 days, we understand that it is a function of training if there is an impact in the performance. Post 90 days, again, things start to dilute and probably a second round of refresher is required.
Yes, Mr. Raghavi.
But I think, Mr. Das, here also, when it comes to, let's say, 0 to 30, 30 to 60 or 90 kind of a learning curve, it depends on organization to organizations or maybe different domains, like where your learning curve is actually getting accepted by the business or not. Because there are businesses, like if I talk about, I have been into e-commerce or maybe in the service industry for banking, aviation, and MBFCs, where people do not consider the learning curve, though they have this methodology, the way you are trying to explain that, okay, 0 to 30 should be there. Now, further coming to 0 to 30, now they are actually not only looking at the weekly performance, but they are so concerned about the daily performance as well. So when it comes to OJT, they know that, okay, a person being a new entrant has just come up from a training program, kind of a, let's say, product and a process and application kind of a training. He needs some time to adopt and then start working in the fashion that you are expecting out of it. But they are really, really keen to understand that from the very first day of the OJT itself, the ROI should be there and the scoreboard should be looking like very green.
Yeah, we are probably blessed in that matter. So we've been asked till 90 days, they give us time to,
And maybe I think then again the alignment, the ratios, or everything will come into picture. And the way I think you were just talking about the leadership kind of a thing. So let's say when it comes to knowledge retention of the supervisors, for example, because let's say if a supervisor has been onboarded 6 months back or maybe a 1 year or 2 years down the line, how are you actually ensuring? Because for trainees, you have the TNIs in place. For supervisor, you must be having just only some sort of an assessments. Now again, this assessment and evaluation will come into picture. How are you trying to assess their knowledge retentions? How are you trying to evaluate your entire methodology? That how your support function is actually helping or supporting and imbibing those kind of a knowledge retention into the trainees itself, so that your business goals should not be impacted and should be like achieved.
Yeah.
May I add something over here?
Yes, please.
This is different when in case of like soft skill and behavioral training. Yes, we can wait up till 60 to 90 days. We will need to. And but for the OGT, which you were talking about, or maybe any process trainings, that's where the ROI can be expected immediately within a couple of days or weeks. And also I would add on, that for behavioral training, soft skill training, so the impact that how I had done it, that, after 90 days, we would send the surveys to the manager and we would try to analyze the behavior. Of course, that would not be 100% right, but yes, to some extent, you will be able to gauge that how the employee has performed, like after how they are doing in the next, after the training is done. So 60 to 90 days. So how the behavior patterns have changed. So that helps us.
Frankly, when we say the statement that anyways this is not going to be 100% right, there itself we fail as part of this training, implementing this training evaluation. So that is the practical difficulty that we're all facing. But what Jugal said is right. So how are you getting into this in third level, fourth level? See, you've spent weeks researching, planning, designing your training. You have edited, reworked the instructional materials, right? Countless times. Finally, after what seems like years of hard work, you've created a training course that you think is as effective and engaging, and it could be possibly that way. But how do you know if it is as good as you think it is? So what this evaluation will have to help you find out that. And learning and development is a high stakes activity, I would say. Developing and implementing trainings can cost tens of thousands of rupees or dollars, however you calculate, for large organizations, I'm saying. Okay, so this instructional design evaluation is all about the process of determining whether a training program is meeting its intended goal. So what is the intended goal? How are we setting criteria? Evaluating the course will help determine whether learners can transfer the skills, the knowledge, whatever they've learned, into the real world job performance. And if those trainings are not having measurable real world effects, and if the executives are not going to be happy, supervisors are not going to be happy. See, trainers, human resource managers, instructional designers, all of us need to be able to show that the trainings are working. Yeah. And unfortunately, this key people have taken, and there's a shortcut that easily people, a short route that people take to satisfy the statement of making the trainings work. So effective instructional design evaluation will have to uncover evidence to provide the training's value. Or if the value is unexpectedly low, you need to show how to make improvements to the ROI. So when it gets measured, it gets managed. So that's the key that we'll have to understand when it comes to evaluation. So what gets measured will get managed. So as instructional designer, how am I going to fit this into the ID process? I'm going to also talk about formative evaluation, summative evaluation. There are certain types. Formative is used to provide feedback to the designers as the instruction is, getting formed or being developed. Whereas summative evaluation is to determine the degree to which a completed product is producing the intended outcomes. So that is the difference. There is also an evaluation process, confirmative evaluation, which is going to examine the success of the instruction as it is used over time. So if you have the resources to conduct all the three assessment types, there is no question about where evaluation fits into the design sequence. So it happens throughout the process, and it continues after the design is done as well. So not every company will be able to run the large number of evaluation, that is necessary for formative or summative or confirmative evaluation for every single course or every single training program. So in these cases, determining determining when to evaluate your instructional design may come down to your goals to make sure that your design is effective. Yeah. Then your formative evaluation practices will be useful. So summative evaluation will determine how much employees learned and whether this knowledge is creating any behavioral change. And as I said, confirmative evaluation will measure the long-term success of the program. So frequent evaluation will allow you for continuous improvement. So it's better to assess your instructional design as often as you can. Okay, now designers who follow this ADDIE model will be tempted to leave all the evaluation for the end of the process. Basically, that's how we do. But evaluating will have its own benefits. We'll have to play to we have to play to the organization's strength, I would say. If you have a good budget, good time, big enough for multiple evaluations throughout the process, go for it. If not, you may need to be a little creative. And this Kirkpatrick is also one common thing. Do we measure the effectiveness of the instructional design? Yes, there are many models. So one such is, this most useful framework in terms of evaluating your instructional design is this. And like every model has drawbacks, even this also has drawbacks. This model is very simple and it has been popular. And it is a good option for companies to evaluate their instructional design, especially when you're interested in comparing the results with other companies in your industry. It is even more easy. So to people who don't have any idea about this Kirkpatrick, I will talk about the levels. Okay, so the first level is about the reaction. How do learners react to the training? You would have seen people nodding their head, people are, their faces brighten up when you talk. So there are certain reactions. If the reaction is positive, they are more likely to have positive learning outcomes. And we don't know how many people simply nod their head also matters for us. So did the learners, this is a common thing. And now after the new normal, people simply keep muted. I'm not talking about you, but then we don't know who is nodding their head or who is not even sitting at the place to listen to your training. So all of these are there, but as far as this level is concerned, the factors that is going to elicit positive reactions will vary. So when the negative reaction does not preclude your learning, but it makes the learning less likely. So trainers, training methodologies, the audience, the participants will all have unique needs and preferences, but there are some commonalities also. Okay. Trainees' perceptions of the training's efficiency and usefulness of the training will also be there at the same time along with trainers' performance, and these can be correlated to reactions. So when the trainer's performance is good, automatically the trainers when the trainer will think about the efficiency of the training program and the usefulness for him or her. So this will actually correlate. So the usefulness of the training, was the most important factor in the study when it was developed. And this won't surprise anyone because, whoever has been into, training will look for useful training only. People will not look for irrelevant or non-relevant training or useless training, right? So trainings that are efficient, useful, and conducted to be likable, interesting, effective trainers are going to get the most positive reactions. And that will help the learning, that will boost the learning. So this is about the reaction. And the next level is learning. How much did the participants learn? Did they retain the information over time? These questions don't seem overly complicated, but getting some reliable measures, objective measures are important, but at the same time difficult. Say, for example, when measuring your learning, you need to know how your participants' level of knowledge before they completed the training, and if trainees were already experts, showing that they are experts at the end of the training is not going to add any value, which is why both the pre-training and post-training is necessary for effective measurement of learning. So there are many ways of testing the acquisition of knowledge, the skill. I'm not talking about behavior here, okay? But assessments, self-assessments, informal testing, and all of these can also help your behavioral training to an extent. But choosing the right instrument may depend on the type of training you're running and your measurement objective also. So knowledge acquisition, I think it is easy for you to measure that with a multiple choice question or whatever. The ability to apply that knowledge is more difficult to measure, right? And you'll have to require a more in-depth assessment. So now level 3 comes into this picture, behavior. Are your participants applying what they learned to their jobs? The ultimate test of the effectiveness of the instruction. Okay, I'm not getting into the results part. Successfully measuring the behavioral change is not easy. You'll need to determine the most relevant behaviors, measure them before the instruction, measure them after the instruction, and figure it out if the training caused the change. Say, if you run a course on sales enablement, okay? The employee behavior you're trying to affect might be the sharing of information between, say, marketing department and sales department. So you need to identify some sort of measuring metric to see if this is actually happening. Which metrics might you look at to assess the behavioral change in sales enablement is a question. Many knowledge sharing systems, now are providing analytics on content usage, like number of times a particular piece of content has been assessed or used in a sales pitch. So with this also, you'll be able to identify your behavioral the skill that is being developed. How many sales interactions includes materials that is developed by the marketing. So that's a metric that you can compare pre and post test. And there are some software platforms which will also provide you with some metrics. And while this behavioral change can be measured independently of those tools, then the instructional design tools make the process a little easier. So while they're not as rigorous as this objective measures, employee surveys are also sometimes useful. We might ask the employees how often they use the sales enablement system, the percentage of documents they think that are shared between the groups. Right? Such questions can be asked. So the most important thing to remember here is to choose a metric that is closely tied to the behavior you're trying to influence. Choosing the wrong measure of behavior will automatically skew your results. So when it comes to results, the level 4, did your training affect the business bottom line? Is the question. In the end, this is the most important question. If your training increases revenue, decreases costs, or improvises the profitability, it was a success. So to answer this question, you need to extend some measures of behavioral change to business results. So if your sales and marketing teams are communicating more effectively and those teams are pulling in more money, it's a good bet that your training had a positive bottom line effect. So that's one clue. Like, how do you know that the bottom line change had anything to do with the training? When we talk about results, when we talk about ROI, all of these questions comes into picture, right? There are many factors, umpteen factors when it comes to revenue, profitability. Isolating a single variable is really tough. And your sales team will be selling a lot more than the than the previous experience after this sales enablement course is given. But how do you know that the manager did not switch up their management style also? We don't know, right? Or that a new employee became a selling superstar. So these questions are difficult to answer. So you'll need to use your reasoning skills here. Look at as much as information as possible and see if there might be some confounding variables. If you're able to control them, if you're not able to draw conclusions based on this data, then it's difficult. So measure what is important. Kirkpatrick model is a useful framework only for evaluation, but the model you use is not important. See, what is important is you measure the effectiveness of your training and take actions based on what are you finding. And when it comes to measurement, the most important factor is the bottom line result. So is your instruction having a positive impact on the bottom line? So many companies don't know. There was a survey conducted, and 90% of the surveyed companies they're measuring participant reactions. Only 80% are getting into this second level learning, and only 50% are getting into this behavioral thing as a third level, and only 40% are measuring results. So that's what the survey says. Instructional designers are measuring what is easy to measure, but not what is important. So we will have to remember what we are ultimately trying to achieve when we set out to evaluate an instruction matters. Yeah. Fine. So let us do some, what is the time? It's 1. Okay. So can we go on with one quick activity already?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
I'll give you a case, now.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so I think I'll have to mention this. Every week when we bring in some kind of activity, all the participation that you are bringing in is really awesome. I'm so happy amidst all the. I think your classes started today by 8:30, if I'm not wrong. So with the same enthusiasm throughout the day on a Sunday, it gives a picture that how much you are working on to this self
Is the session on?
Yeah, it is. It seems, I think there should be some technical glitch at Dr. Raghavi's end. Not sure if that be network or something else. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry about this technical glitch. Sorry. Able to hear me? Yeah.
Yes,
Yes,
ma'am.
Yes,
yes.
yes, ma'am.
Yeah. Okay. So
Yes.
kudos to all of you. Super proud of this batch actually. Keep going, keep rocking. Someone will have to give me screen sharing. I think I lost it when this thing is gone. Usha madam, are you there? Madam, I lost myself being the host. Can you make me host? Yeah. So I will share a case here. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
So I'll share a case here. Let us break out and get into the activity. Able to see the screen?
Yes,
ma'am. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
So this is this. If required, you may take a screenshot. 6 months ago, your training department concluded a training program for 20 customer service representatives. So the CSRs deal with customer problems. The CSRs deal with customers' problems by phone and complete the paperwork as necessary to correct the issues, to resolve the issues that the customer has identified. So these problems will relate to order fulfillment, product quality, technical questions. So you need to you need to follow up with the level 4 assessment of the training program's impact. Okay. It's a 5-day training program. This will be repeated at least 3 or more times in the next year to include the remaining 55 CSRs who were not able to go through the initial offering. And then will be offered as needed each time enough additional new hires are added to the staff. So now, does an ROI assessment make sense in this case? So the issues are mentioned. So you will have to, fill in the, it's a quick activity, but you need to think about it. So when are you assessing? Do you need it? And if not needed, what is the plan B? So what sort of data will you need to collect to be able to complete the project also matters. And you'll have to make a list with this. So able to get it?
Yes, ma'am.
Super. So now I am breaking. How much time would you need? You tell me. How much time would you need? Anyone?
So, Dr. Raghavi, we have to just define this do assess when and usually do not assess when. These are the two aspects that we have to come up with these issue types, correct?
Yes, yes.
I think right now it is already 13:08. So 10 minutes, I think, would be definitely requiring to discuss. And
No, no, I'll give you,
Minutes,
I'll
madam.
give you 15 minutes, no problem. So last few minutes, we'll have some discussions, okay?
Sure.
All right. 15 minutes from now, go on. 3 rooms. Please join the breakout rooms. Please join the breakout rooms. Dr. Deepti, which room do you belong to?
Dr. Raghavi, can you put me in group number 1 because I have joined through a laptop right now.
Dr. Deepti, right? Dr. Deepti, right?
Dr. Raghavi,
Able to hear me?
request you to put me in group number 1. Thank you so much.
Mr. Harish?
Hello. Yes, ma'am. Good afternoon.
Which room do you, good afternoon. Which room do you belong to?
Ma'am, I have recently joined due to some other activity. But
Okay.
I went
Okay.
at office for some work.
No problem. So I will make you part of a room so that you can join the discussion.
Dr. Raghavi, we could not finish the task in the given time frame. Why? Because I think initially, like, we were just trying to understand that how we really need to consider this case study. But later on, maybe I think in the group one, Rahul, Dipti, Nikhil, we all were there along with Daya and a couple of more participants. So I don't know, maybe I think we were on the same line, or maybe I think we were doing the correct thing or in the correct direction. But we were just able to, I think, jotted down a couple of pointers for the initial 2 to 3 issue type only.
Let's see, no problem. Let's check. Huh?
Sure.
So yes, the room one, room one on the go.
Should we, or I don't know, maybe I think Mr. Das and
Yeah.
Mr. Ashik, were you
We
able
also struggled. We also struggled.
to? Is it?
Let's
This
go.
was a bit confusing.
Let's go in
Yeah, it was
descending
actually.
order. 1, 2, 3.
Usually, I enter into all the breakout rooms once and see if things are in place. Now, just to understand if this is happening. I today wantedly didn't come. I really wanted to understand because I know this is a little complex one. I really wanted to understand fresh. So let's see.
So actually, how did we consider this case study, Dr. Raghavi? If the group one allow me to present.
Yeah, please go ahead.
Yeah,
What is
maybe I
your
think Dipti
what
and
is your
Rahul.
perspective? You tell me.
Yeah.
We will discuss.
We started looking at that, okay, there is a problem statement in the organization, correct? That is how they actually designed a program. As a pilot phase or maybe as an A/B testing, they actually covered 20 customer service executives or the representatives in that. The learning objective of this particular program to overcome the customer's issue. Because the customers were facing problems, they were actually lodging complaints, and that is how they wanted to overcome from this particular problem. It was a 5-day kind of a program. And then after completion of the program, they also decided that the same program will be repeated in the next year 3 times. So that, and also they wanted to stitch it into the new hire training program. Whenever a new entrant will be coming in, they are going to impart the same session, or they are going to club it or stitch it in the new hire training program. So there was a question that does an ROI assessment make sense in this case? So basically we wanted to see the application of the 4th level of evaluation. In the
application of 4 level.
4th level. That if I am trying to understand that, okay, the 4th level of evaluation, which is my ROI, is it applicable to the issues which are jotted down in the case study? So the very first thing, like when I am going to revisit my level of training objective, are we in the same direction or in the correct direction?
So, I mean, the question simply here states that this is the case. So, when am I getting into this assessment, or when am I avoiding this assessment? So, that's the key question. So, here I am trying to bring in some aspects of training because, so how frequent is this training going to happen? What is the duration? Is it lengthy or is it short? What is the level? Again, levels of training. So what is this future? More offerings are expected or not expected. So these are the different aspects that the issue is going. I mean that these points are going to talk about with respect to the issue. So for that, assessment needed, not needed, or till what level? That understanding is what we are trying to, because the objective of this case, again, to make this as a group study, is about when and where to use the assessment, how to use it. Very simple.
So if we consider the very first issue, which is the level of learning objective, I think as a group, we trying deliberating on this, like when I am seeing that the customer problems are not getting resolved, I am still getting the escalations. And the people or the participants who have already gone under the program, they are also unable to resolve the cases. So basically,
okay, present it, no problem. See, as far as your understanding is concerned, based on the level of training objectives, what till, say for example, Kirkpatrick's, till which level would you assess? Which one do you don't want to, kind of thing. So likewise, you just give some justification to it. That's it.
Okay.
Yeah. Do you want me to open that slide?
Yeah, you can.
Yeah.
So I think very first issue, which is the level of training objectives. I think here we really would like to assess the reaction and the learning part,
as well as the ROI
along
part
with
of
the
it.
ROI, the fourth level
Because
also,
if
the
we are not
impact.
meeting the targets of that problems, so then we have to see that we have to change the training objectives and everything, if I'm not wrong.
Correct.
Okay, so you go till the Kirkpatrick's fourth level.
True.
Okay.
And we will not assess like if the fourth level is anyway, the ROI is there or the objective of the training program is achieved, then we are not going to perform.
Yeah. Yes, please.
Similarly, frequency of training, I think here we deliberated that we also wanted to assess this particular thing when basically the
Maybe,
agents are coming.
yes, sorry
Yeah,
to
Rahul,
interrupt
please.
you. Yes, frequency of the training, maybe we can see from the reaction or learning impact from the feedback. So if the people feel that in that 5 days session, we are not able to cover all the topics, then maybe we can check the frequency. Maybe from level 1 or maybe level 2, where we can check.
Yeah, in fact, level 3, we also discussed that impact. If the people will be able to like institutionalize those changes into their behavior or whatever learning they are requiring.
So maybe by level 3 we can
Yeah,
assess.
so till level 3, this second issue will be assessed.
Okay, what if this is not going to be a frequent training? Are you going to assess or not assess?
So you are asking that like if it is not going to be a frequent training.
A very infrequent training. Say, for example, is it important to assess? If so, till what level? Or we don't want to assess? How is it? Just about high frequency training and low frequency training. I'm trying to differentiate here.
As far as I know, I think we have to assess that ROI part also. If it is not effective, because we have already spent money on it, so we have to see that we are able to get anything out of that. So
Okay.
that's my take on that.
Okay.
I say would be if it's a low frequency training, we need not do the analysis or the impact evaluation. The reason being like it would be more of like you're investing a lot of time into it, but you never know whether the same would be applied or implemented when. So it's better that you utilize that time and that energy into something which is in your bucket list, in your pipeline, rather than
But
just
I
being
think,
ambitious
yes,
that
sorry
something
to
would be
interrupt you, but expense will be the key factor over there, because if the company is paying maybe 10 lakh rupees on one training, because we used to do that such kind of trainings like EPP program, factor personal productivity, and we spending 1 lakh per participant on it, and we are conducting only one training in a whole year. So it will be very important for us to measure the ROI also on that case. Also, this is not frequent. That's my take on that.
Okay. Okay.
So I think it's depend upon the expense or how much investment we are doing on the training. So
Just I mean, the expenses would be if the expenses are high training, high cost training program or a low cost training program. That's the difference here.
because if we are only paying 2,000 rupees per day and continue delivering the session for a whole year, so I don't think that we have to go through the ROI and everything. That's my take on that. Sir.
Okay.
Maybe other.
I think if we come to third issue, duration of the training, we should be assessing till level 3.
Sorry.
So for the duration of training, it should be a high
Duration,
duration.
yeah.
If it is a low duration kind of a thing, it should be assessed till level 3.
Okay.
The future of training will be assessed till level 4.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
Because then only we are going to decide on that. Like, do we really require such kind of a training for our agents or trainees or not? I think Rahul has anyways discussed the expense of training.
Okay.
Now the history of training is something like which I think I was not able to. So Rahul, Nikhil, or
history of training, like if it is enough to get some usable data through that, or or the data is not going to be useful for you like that.
I think it depends on the results what we are getting from it. So it will be very helpful for us. So if we are not getting anything out of the training, so a little confused in that also.
Okay. There's no correct answer, wrong answer. We're only trying to brainstorm here, so not to worry.
So maybe if you are trying to collate or maybe collect data from the history of training, it will help us to redesign, or maybe I think
maybe the
doing some sort of a
frequency
pivoting into it.
Correct.
So I think level 1 or level 2 will be enough for that history of training, no? Because we are getting a reaction from the feedback from the trainer, as well as the participants, as well as we can see that how much changes are coming from pre or post test. So I think level 2 will be enough for that. We do not go through the level 3 in that case. So it will help us to change the frequency, duration, and of the training program. That I think.
Fine. Any other issues were you able to discuss, like
No, I think we
politics,
could not
resources
reach to.
available, some intangibles?
No, Dr. Ravi, I think we could not.
No issues. Okay, fine. Okay, thank you. Good job. So can we see the perspectives from the other room? Maybe the room 2?
Yes.
Rupa, would you start? 1 second, because I'm not able to see your faces when I see this, when I open this PPT. Do you need the screenshot?
सोनू बाहेर झाडू नाही मारला का तुम्ही?
Yes, ma'am, I would require.
Okay, please go on.
Okay, thank you. Okay, so so looking at this case, we assume that it is a contact center setup. Where yes, we will require the data first. So the data which we will collect is the grids which the quality department have available with them. Then some sample calls we will require to assess, to identify that where the problem is, or is there any problem actually existing or no. So if we, in the sample calls, if we see that our CSR who we have trained, or those 20 CSR who we have trained in the past, are able to handle the objection, have the perfect knowledge to provide to the customer, and they could handle the calls and provide the resolution on the first, that is FTR. If this all things are there and their tone, intonation, soft skills are also at the place, then we don't feel that there is any need to assess the objectives of a learning and our history of a training. But in case if there is a problem, there is a pain area, maybe in call handling, maybe in the knowledge, maybe the product knowledge, if we find that there is a glitch or false information is being passed, then yes, we will look into the learning objectives, we will look into the learning history, and we will see what are the pain areas, and accordingly we would require to tailor our trainings, training content accordingly. Then coming at the frequency of a training, then the frequency of a training will completely depend upon the new hires. Like if the number of new hire increases, then frequency of a training programs will also increase, and then we need to assess that when and how we would be conducting this new hire trainings. Duration of a training, if there is a requirement on the floor of a manpower to handle the call, if operation is coming and telling that I require the people on floor to handle the call because they are bringing business to the company, if the call go abandoned, then it would be a loss, a business loss. Then we would surely require to see the duration of a training, and we need to alter our training content so that we provide maximum information and input to our participants and our CSRs, and edit the part which is not required, and make our training more knowledgeable and fruitful. Future of a training. Coming to the next point. Future of a training. When we say future of a training, it will depend upon the current knowledge. It will depend upon the updates from the product department, because future of a training will also include refreshers, will also include new hire training, will also include the trainings for the bottom liners. So as and when as business grows, there would be surely a requirement to assess the future of a training. There would be that we would require to assess the future of a training. Then expenses of a training. Yes, as it is customer service setup, we can go for the online training, and we can ask them to keep their videos on, and by taking the name we can ask them, what did I explain, can you please read the slide. Which this small steps and initiatives, we can reduce on the cost of a training. In case if it required for the classroom training, then here we can book a space within the office itself to train them face to face. Then history of a training, as I've already
So, I mean, okay. I mean, at what stage are you assessing? Are you
Post 6
assessing it or you're
months.
not assessing it?
So I am, it depends upon the situation. If I require to assess, so if my CSR is providing all the information at par to the customer, he is disposing the calls appropriately, then I will not assess, because I have already assessed, and that everything and all the requirements, all the details are at place. But in case if there is a problem, if there is a pain area, then I will surely assess, and I will work on it, and I will make sure we will make sure that our CSRs are delivering appropriately to the customers, and first time resolutions they are providing.
Okay.
So, Dr. Raghavi, if I may add to this, the level of assessment, if you're asking, so the first one, say level of training objective, we can, if we have to assess this, we'll assess this at impact level. The frequency of training would be, I think, more appropriate to be measured at learning level only. The third one, duration, I think level 3 would be more appropriate. Future of training, level 4, and expense again at level 4, because these two will determine how much the business invests again into those sorts of trainings.
Okay.
And also catering to the point that evaluation also costs money. It's not that evaluation is happening free of cost. We always need to look at level 4 also, or use level 4 properly, because if we are getting too much into data collection, analyzing, and then projecting our ROI, that itself becomes a big project in itself and costs business further more money. So these are the two things that we feel that should be assessed at level 4. History, I don't think it is in this particular case important to assess. So I have put it as no.
Okay. Okay.
I think that's
all right. All right. Different perspectives. Fine. Okay. Good one. Good job. The other room, quickly, room number 3. Room number 3. Were you able to do this?
We were able to do this, not again in a very structured manner.
Mr. Das was there in the room number 3. Okay, fine. Yes, go on.
We were only able to do a little bit of brainstorming, but obviously we'll not able to conclude very in a very specific manner.
No worries, please.
But just on certain points that we had discussed is that obviously we first understood that whether we need to have this Kirkpatrick model to assess this or not. We went by this question: does this model fit here or not? And if it is fitting, then what data do you need to collect for this? So this is. So we assume that yes, Kirkpatrick model will be used in this case. And so we kind of find out what all data will be required. So level of training objectives, we understood that it will be assessed through Kirkpatrick model and up till level 4, I guess, because you need to understand whether whatever my learning objective, whether we are able to achieve it or not. So that is why it will be assessed through that. Frequency, duration, we would try to understand this with the level 1, which is the participant reaction. No, not the frequency one, the duration one, where we will assess it by the participant reaction. We'll try to understand through a feedback, methodology, whether you find it long, short, optimum, whatever. So they will help us understand whether the duration was sufficient for them to get all the learnings or not. For frequency and for future of training, we understood that it will be basis the Kirkpatrick level 3, which is we will take feedbacks from the their stakeholders. So whether they are able to be whatever learners have learned from them, whether there is a behavior change in them or not, because this is we are training the CSR. So is there a behavior change seen in them or not? So if it is successful, if we are able to, the CSRs are able to perform as per whatever behavior required from them, then we will accordingly, it will be understood that whether frequency and future of this training is there or not. Expense, I think it was again on the ROI part. So whatever we are spending, are we able to get any benefit out of it or not? So if it is meeting that objective, then I think that is why it is to be assessed till that level. Because reaction and behavior, and that is not where you will assess this. You will assess at the ROI level. History, we were not able to conclude. So I will say that isko assess karne ki zarurat nahi hai. We don't need to assess this.
Fair enough. Good job. Okay, so this is going to be one perspective-oriented brainstorming session only in terms of understanding how would you take decisions in terms of measuring the training effectiveness. So I think in different perspectives at the same time, it was in the way it has to be understood. What I will do is I'll send this PDF to you so that the full PDF, so that you'll be able to get some crux of it, how this is being done. How companies are actually working on some cases like this in terms of getting into this proper measurement of training effectiveness and all that. Okay, so along with the PPT, I will mail this to the diploma office so that they'll send it to you. Unfortunately, I'm not part of the WhatsApp group, so I will email you, no problem. So with this, we will come to a conclusion for this last but one session. I think one more class you have, right? If I'm not wrong, yes? One more session. This is the 9th session, if I'm not wrong. Yeah, so we'll have one session more and we'll complete it the next session. Yeah, all right. Thank you. Thanks for your participation. We'll catch up soon.
Yeah,
Thank you so much, madam.
Thank you, madam.
Thanks,
Thank
everyone.
you so much.
Bye-bye.